All right, thanks for joining me here on the YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment if you like what you see so we can keep this thing going. 49ers opened the regular season with a 32-19 victory over the New York Jets. And I got to admit, when you hear the word 90 minutes before kickoff that Christian McCaffrey was out of this game with a calf and Achilles, you kind of think like, wow, this tumultuous offseason has continued for the 49ers with the holdout, the hold in, the Ricky Pearsall incident, and all the above. You just think that maybe it just wasn't meant to be for week one for the 49ers, especially facing a Jets team that was desperate to get off to a good start as they look to end the NFL's longest postseason drought in the league. So, Robert Saleh on the hot seat, Aaron Rodgers hadn't played a full game since January of 2023. So you knew the Jets were really focused on getting off to a good start, and it just didn't happen for the Jets. The 49ers really crushed them, 32-19. 49ers offense, a 3-and-out to open the game, and you're thinking, okay, it's going to take a while with all the guys who are missing through training camp and everything else. No Christian McCaffrey. It's going to take a while for the 49ers offense to get going. Well, it took just that, 3 plays, and then the 49ers finished the game with 8 consecutive scoring drives, 6 field goals. If you're going to nitpick, that would be it, that the 49ers need to score more touchdowns, but 6 field goals, 2 touchdowns, and Jordan Mason just really delivered in a big way with 147 yards rushing on 28 carries and a touchdown. 49ers, we'll see where this thing goes with Christian McCaffrey, but they play 2 games coming up on artificial turf. We'll see what the 49ers decide to do with that. Kyle Shanahan said no decision has been made. In fact, he said the decision wasn't made with McCaffrey until the day of. He said that he didn't find out that McCaffrey wasn't going to play in this game until then. Deebo Samuel did say that he was told that you got to get ready. You might be carrying more out of the backfield, and he did. Eight carries for him, 23 yards and a touchdown. I think Jordan Mason was certainly prepared to play. He's been prepared to play all training camp. I mean, he was the guy who took all the first team reps with McCaffrey out. He's the one who saw some action in the preseason. So when McCaffrey is limited throughout the week, he had to get into the mindset that he was going to play. Now, something that after the game, I'm not quite sure exactly all that happened, but apparently it was, you might have seen it on TV. Mason said that he thought that he might play or was told that he would play on Friday. I don't know exactly what was said since I wasn't watching it. But if you watch Jordan Mason in his post-game press conference after the game, I asked him, how he felt after the game. 28 carries. He never had that many carries in college, and you could tell that there's something wasn't right with when he came to the press conference room. Maybe he was just uncomfortable, probably had never been in that situation before, and I think he said that he was tired. And then I just immediately asked, I felt like, okay, I need to ask another question quickly, and so I asked him, hey, when did you find out you were going to play? And he really kind of bristled at that question and made some comment about the media trying to take his words or whatever, something along those lines. I really didn't understand it. I thought it was a very innocuous question. And just so you know, afterward in the locker room, he did talk at length and much more effortlessly and comfortably with a handful of reporters who cover the team. And after it was over, I told him, I said, hey, I wasn't trying to do anything that, whatever, untoward. I didn't mean anything by that question, and if you interpreted it that way, I apologize. So anyway, he said everything was cool. So I'm not sure exactly what was going on there, but let's not let that overshadow that the guy was nails on Monday night, and he had some big shoes to fill, and he filled them quite admirably with a big time game and a really thorough 49ers dismantling of the New York Jets on Monday Night Football. The passing offense wasn't necessarily sharp, but Brock Purdy still threw for 231 yards, no touchdowns, no turnovers. The running game, like I mentioned, super efficient and just really gouged what was supposed to be a very stout Jets defense. Just between Mason and Deebo Samuel, 36 carries between those two guys, and that will win you a heck of a lot of football games. So Jake Moody had a really good game, field goals of 46, 51, 31, 53, 23, and 42 yards. But again, I think the 49ers offensively feel like more of those drives need to end up in the end zone rather than sending him out for field goals. The defense, certainly, they led the way. I mean, it's tough to say that when the offense scored on 8 consecutive drives, but the defense was nails. Generating 2 takeaways, Fred Warner punching the ball out from Breece Hall, Malik Collins recovering it. And for the revamped 49ers defensive line, they looked very good in the run game, which was an area where they came under a lot of scrutiny late last season. But with Malik Collins, with Jordan Elliott, with Javon Hargrave, those guys really tied things up and allowed Fred Warner and company to make plays. They also generated a takeaway in the passing game with Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles coming up with an interception. That was on a play where Deommodore Lenoir got his hand in there, and a pass to Aaron Rodgers attempted to Garrett Wilson. He deflected it right to Flannigan-Fowles. So Aaron Rodgers, a very uneventful, unimpressive game for him. You could expect that, right? A lot of rust for this guy, but 13 of 21, 167 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. A lot of the kind of wonkiness, the disjointedness of the 49ers offseason has been centered around the holdout and the hold in. Trent Williams held out. Wasn't in football shape necessarily, but I think he played very well in this game, as I think the 49ers offensive line as a whole played very well. Probably need to clean up some of the penalties, but they certainly got the better of the Jets defensive line. The 49ers offensive line did. So Trent Williams looked like Trent Williams. You put him on an island, you have him go block his guy, you worry about the other guys. And so Williams played like you'd expect him to, and you expect him to get better and better as the season goes on. Brandon Ayuk, a little bit, I guess, you could tell maybe the rust a little bit. 5 passes that Purdy threw his way, really 4. There was 1 throwaway, but 2 completions for 2 catches for 28 yards. Now, he did have a chance to make what would have been a remarkable catch at the end of the first half for a touchdown. 13-yard pass when the 49ers were trying to get into the end zone there in the final seconds. And it's a play we see Brandon Ayuk make in the past. And so it's a play that maybe we've come to expect him to make, even though it would have been a phenomenal catch, but he couldn't hold on to it as he was diving. So if there's one thing where you could kind of point to and say, yeah, maybe he wasn't as sharp because he missed training camp, maybe that was it. But, all told, 2 catches, 28 yards. 49ers seemed to work him into the lineup or bring him out of the lineup more than they ordinarily would. Good game for Juwan Jennings. Purdy threw 5 passes his way. He caught all 5 for 64 yards. He led the team in receiving yards. He left the game briefly with an ankle injury, but then was right back in there and made some catches. So that was certainly a bright spot for the 49ers. One of the things that was very notable in this game, and by the way, Frank Gore was honored last night going into the 49ers Hall of Fame. He was honored at halftime of this game. And so I guess it's appropriate that number 21 was being honored, and number 24, a third-year running back, Jordan Mason, kind of had the play of the game, the performance of the game as the 49ers win the game on the ground, with Jordan Mason being the guy who's carrying the load and not Christian McCaffrey. An interesting thing happened, or a very kind of noteworthy thing happened with the 49ers and Ricky Pearsall in the first quarter. 2 first responders who were instrumental in that whole situation back on August 31st were honored. Ricky Pearsall gave them each signed jerseys, and so it was Sergeant Joel Harrell of the San Francisco Police Department, who was the first person on the scene and helped kind of calm his nerves and everything else, and really took control of that situation and made Ricky Pearsall feel comfortable and at ease in what was a very scary situation when he got shot through the chest and it exited out the back without striking any bones or vital organs. And also over at San Francisco General Hospital, the attending surgeon, Dr. Lucy Kornblythe, also helped Ricky along that path. And so both of those individuals were honored on the field during the game. So that's where we are. Jennifer Lee-Chan and I spend more time talking about this on 49ers Talk, so check that out. And that's it. 49ers turned the page week 1 with a victory, an impressive victory, pretty much in all phases: offense, defense, special teams, coaching. Other than that whatever that was, end around to Deebo Samuel looking to throw perhaps to Brock Purdy. That was probably the worst play of the game, and on a day where the 49ers really took control of this and kind of put to rest any thoughts about the bummer summer and how this team maybe wasn't ready for the start of the regular season. I know in the back of my mind, maybe even the front of my mind, I thought that, but they came out and they had a dominating performance against kind of a team like the New York Jets that just kind of seemed overmatched. So 49ers are back at it. Week 1, they beat the Jets. Week 2, it's off to Minnesota. And thank you for tuning in to this YouTube video. And we'll be back here real shortly with another edition of this, whatever we call it, the Matt Maiocco channel. I don't know, this sounds a little bit egotistical. We'll just call it my next YouTube video, whenever that airs.